Rain slammed into Chicago like a pissed-off ex, relentless and loud, turning South Side into a soggy hellhole where every gutter overflowed and every streetlight flickered like it was on its last breath. Ethan Cole stood in the mess of it, soaked to the core, his gray hoodie sticking to him like a second skin that seen better days. The neon sign above the corner liquor store buzzed and sputtered liquor in faded pink. Half the letters gone dark, casting a weak glow over the cracked pavement and the row of sagging houses leaning into the storm. He ditched his Range Rover 2 blocks back, parked crooked with one wheel jacked up on the curb, too damn wired to care about finesse. Now he was trudging through the deluge, boots sloshing in ankle-deep puddles, the wind clawing at his hood like it wanted a fight. Lightning tore the sky open, a jagged white scar, and thunder rolled hard enough to rattle his teeth. This wasn't his seen South Side, with its busted windows and chain-link fences, but it was where she was. Jasmine Carter, the woman who just flipped his night upside down. He reached Hope Haven, a squat brick box that looked like it been forgotten by time, the vacancy sign above the door flickering like a dying bug. The place was a dump peeling paint, a warped awning dripping rust-colored water, windows patched with duct tape, but it was her last known spot, and he wasn't leaving without her. He pounded on the dented steel door, fists banging loud enough to wake the whole damn block. Jasmine Carter, he yelled, voice raw, fighting the storm's roar. Open the damn door, now. Rain streamed off his face, stinging his eyes, and he hammered again, the metal shaking under his knuckles, cold seeping into his bones. Inside, it was a circus kid screaming bloody murder, pots clanging like someone was beating a drum, a radio blasting static and gospel hymns that cut in and out. The air hit him through the cracks, thick with damp rot and burnt coffee, the kind of smell that made you want to hold your breath. He didn't give a shit. He needed her, and he needed her yesterday. The door cracked open an inch, a chain rattling like a warning, and a pair of eyes glared out brown, sharp, ready to carve him up. Jasmine Carter stood there, all 5'4" of her, a force packed into a frame that didn't mess around. Her hair was yanked back under a faded bull's cap, wet curls sneaking out, and her sweatshirt gray, oversized, soaked dripped onto the scuffed linoleum. She looked like she'd been through the ringer and come out swinging, her jaw set tight, lips pressed thin. Behind her, two little figures peeked out, Mia and Zoe, 7-year-old twins, huddled under a blanket so thin it might as well have been tissue paper, their big eyes catching the light like startled deer. Who the hell are you? Jasmine snapped, her voice slicing through the thunder, low and mean, like she'd already decided he was trouble. And why you banging on my door like you own the place? Ethan wiped a hand across his face, shaking off water, his breath puffing white in the frigid air. He was shivering, teeth chattering under the bravado, but he squared his shoulders, trying to look like he wasn't about to freeze his ass off. Ethan Cole, he shouted, loud enough to carry over the wind's howl. I've got a deal for you. 6 months, you and your girls get out of this shithole. All you gotta do is marry me. He flashed a grin, cocky as hell, the kind that charmed boardrooms and barflies alike, though right now he looked more like a drowned rat than a billionaire. Rain plastered his hair to his forehead, dripping off his nose, but he held the pose, betting on the shock value. Jasmine blinked once, twice, then laughed a short, jagged sound that cut through the storm like a gunshot, bitter enough to make him wince. You drunk or just stupid? She fired back, one hand gripping the door, ready to slam it in his face. Auntie nobody Marine some rando who shows up in a damn hurricane. Get your ass outta here. Her eyes narrowed, sizing him up. Hoodie, jeans, those white Nikes now streaked with mud, and she didn't like what she saw. Mia peeked around her leg, tiny voice piping up, "He's got cool shoes, Mom," pointing at his kicks like they were the highlight of the night. Zoe nodded, hugging the blanket tighter. "Yeah, they're all shiny." Jasmine whipped her head down. "Hush, both of why all," her tone sharp enough to slice, then snapped her gaze back to him, hard as nails. "You got 10 seconds 'fore I call somebody or handle you myself." He didn't flinch, just stepped closer, boots splashing loud in the puddle pooling at his feet. The grin faded, replaced by something harder, More desperate he wasn't here to play cute. Look, I'm not crazy, he said, voice dropping, steady despite the shiver racking him. It's a bet. Lost it to a guy named Lucas Hayes, asshole with too much money. Thinks he s king shit. 50 million bucks, says I can't live with someone like you for 6 months. I win, you and your girls get a fresh start, house, cash, whatever you need. I picked you 'cause you're tough as hell. Saw your name in the Tribune last year, Southside mom saves kid from shelter fire. That's you, right? You're the real deal. He locked eyes with her, rain beating on his lashes, daring her to call his bluff. Her face didn't move, but something shifted. Those eyes flickered, just for a second, like she remembered that day. The smoke, the kid-s screams, the way she'd run back in when everyone else bolted. She buried it fast, jaw tightening. Someone like me? She said, slow, venom lacing every word, leaning into the doorframe like she might swing. What's that supposed to mean, rich boy? Poor? Black? Screwed? He shrugged, casual despite the storm beating him down, water sluicing off his shoulders. Someone who's not from my world, penthouse, private jets, all that crap. No models, no heiresses, just you. Someone who's fought for everything. Opposite of me, that's the game. Jasmine crossed her arms, rain dripping off her elbows, soaking the floor. So I'm your little project? Slum it with the broke chick? Win your prize? Her voice was ice, but he caught the tremor. Anger, sure, but something else too, maybe hurt, buried deep. He shook his head, wiping his face again, the cold sinking into his chest now. Not a project, a partner. Lucas thinks I'll crack or you'll walk. We prove him wrong, I get the cash, you get out. Win-win. He pulled a crumpled envelope from his hoodie, soggy, ink smudged, but intact, the contract his assistant had rushed over last night. Here, he said, holding it out, arm trembling from the chill. It's legal, binding, all that jazz. Check it. She didn't touch it, just stared like it was a loaded gun. Rain splattering the paper, blurring the edges. The wind gusted hard, slamming the awning above, and it groaned, metal bending with a screech. Ethan saw it too late, jumped forward, shoving Zoe back as the damn thing collapsed, crashing down in a spray of rust and splintered wood. Jasmine yanked Mia out of the way, heart pounding, and for a beat, nobody moved, the wreckage smoking in the wet. Zoe whimpered, clinging to his leg. You saved me. Mia stared, wide-eyed. Whoa. Jasmine's breath hitched, checking them fast. You okay? Babies? And they nodded, shaky but fine. Ethan straightened, brushing mud off his jeans, wincing as his shoulder twinged. See? I'm not all bad, he said, forcing a grin, though his teeth were chattering hard now. Jasmine stood, pulling the girls close, her cap dripping, eyes locked on him, fierce, but rattled. Don't get cocky, she said, voice steadying, though her hands shook. One move don't mean shit. Why me? Huh? Why not some other sucker? He met her gaze, rain streaming down his face. No bullshit left. 'Cause you're the toughest I found. Nobody else has what you've got, guts, grit, whatever you call it. I need that. She didn't blink, just held his stare, thunder rumbling low in the distance. The shelter noise spiked, some lady yelling about a flooded bunk. Kid still crying, and she glanced back, jaw tight. Mia whispered, Mom. He's all wet. And Zoe giggled, like a puppy. Jasmine turned. I said hush, then faced him again, arms still crossed. You're nuts, she said, flat, and I ain't your charity case. But she paused, chewing her lip, eyes flicking to the girls, shivering, small, too damn small for this place. What's the catch? No catch, he said, voice firm despite the cold clawing him. Just don't tell anybody it's fake, my rep's on the line. 6 months, you play wife, I play husband, we split the winnings. That's it. He held out the envelope again, arm shaking worse now, water pooling under him. Take it, read it, whatever, just say yes. She didn't move, just watched him. The storm easing a hair, rain tapping softer now. And if I say no? She said, slow, testing him. He shrugged, boots squishing. I find somebody else. That's still on. But I want you, nobody you. Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't snap back, just stood there. the weight of it sinking in. Zoe tugged her sweatshirt. Mom, he's nice? And Mia nodded. Yeah, he's got a big car. Jasmine's face softened for a split second, then hardened again, decision clicking into place. Fine, she said, sudden like she de-surprised herself. But I got rules, no touching me, no messing with my kids. And every dime goes to them, not me. Break that and you're dead, Cole. Got it? He grinned, teeth chattering, relief hitting like a shot. Got it. Deal. She snatched the envelope, clutching it tight, and stepped back, jerking her head. Get in 'fore you flood the damn place. He stumbled inside, dripping everywhere, the stale heat smacking him like a wall. Gross, but better than the storm. Mia whispered, "He is tall," and Zoe nodded, like a superhero. Jasmine glared, "He ain't no hero, sit your butts down." They scurried to a lumpy couch, dragging the blanket, and Ethan stood there, shaking off water, feeling like he just dodged a bullet. Jasmine slammed the door, locking it with a click, and turned, arms crossed tight. "Sit," she said, nodding at a rickety chair by a card table. Crayons, cracked mugs, a mess. He dropped into it, the wood groaning under him, and she tossed the envelope on the table, still sealed. "Talk," she said, leaning against the wall, eyes boring holes. "All of it. Why me? Why now? What happens when this shit's over? And don't lie, I'll know." Her voice was steel, no give, and he nodded, peeling off his hood, water puddling around him. "All right," he said, voice steady despite the shiver. "Lucas Hayes' college buddy turned dickhead, loaded, hates my guts. Been at each other's throats forever. Last week, bar downtown, he's trashed, starts talking shit, says I'm soft, can't handle real life outside my bubble. Bets me 50 mil I can't live with someone like you, someone who fought tooth and nail for 6 months. I say fuck it, I'm in. Next day, my assistant digging through files, finds you fire story, single mom, Southside badass. You're it." He leaned forward, elbows on the table, water dripping off his chin. "Why now?" "'Cause Lucas gave me a week to start or I forfeit. Clock's ticking, 3 days left." She didn't flinch, just listened, arms still crossed. "And me?" she said, dry. "I'm your ticket to showing him up?" He nodded, "Yeah, but it's more you're tougher than me, probably. Lucas thinks I'll bail or you'll ditch. We stick it, I win, you cash out." She smirked, cold. "And I'm stuck with you for half a year. Lucky me." He grinned. "Look at it this way, penthouse cash, no more of this crap. You fake it, we laugh, 6 months later, you're free. Girls get everything, school, clothes, whatever. And after," she said, slow, eyes locked, "you just bounce?" He nodded, "Back to my life, you start yours. Clean split." She chewed her lip, glancing at the girls, Mia doodling with a stubby crayon. Zoe curled up, blanket to her chin. "You're a damn fool," she said, quiet, "and I'm dumber for this. But if it's real, if you ain't lying, I'll do it. For them." She jerked her head at the twins, fierce. "Not you." "Done," he said, standing, hand out, wet and trembling. "Swear it." She stared at it, then shook grip like a vice, pulling back fast. "Get to the car," she said, turning to the girls. "We're move in." They hopped up, sleepy but quick, and Ethan trailed her out, the storm fading to a drizzle as they hit the Rover. The drive to Lake Shore was tense, girls yawning in back, Jasmine silent up front, Ethan dripping but grinning like he pulled off a heist. The penthouse hit them hard glass walls, leather, a view that screamed cash, and Mia gasped, "It's huge." Zoe echoed, "Like a castle." Jasmine stayed quiet, arms crossed, but her eyes took it in, wary as hell. The bet was on, and he just roped in the toughest player he ever met. Guys, what a start, stormy night and crazy deals. If you were Jasmine, how would you react? Drop a 1 if you agree and a 2 if you decline in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and miss the next twist. The Range Rover growled through the tail end of the storm, tires hissing on the wet asphalt as Ethan navigated the slick streets of Chicago. Rain streaked the windshield, wipers slapping a steady beat. But the worst was over, just a drizzle now, smearing the city lights into blurry streaks of gold and red. Ethan gripped the wheel loose, one hand drumming a rhythm on his knee, his soaked hoodie still clinging to him like a bad memory. The heater blasted warm air, fogging the edges of the glass, and he glanced in the rearview. Mia and Zoe slumped in the back seat, their little heads bobbing with every turn, wrapped in that thin blanket from the shelter. Mia clutched the edge like a lifeline, Zoe's cheek pressed against the window, her breath fogging a tiny circle. They were out cold or close to it, the storm's chaos finally giving way to exhaustion. Jasmine rode shotgun, arms crossed tight over her damp sweatshirt, the bull's cap pulled low, shadowing her face. She hadn't said a word since they peeled out of South Side, her silence thick, heavy, like the air before thunder. Ethan could feel it, her eyes boring holes into the dashboard, her jaw locked, every muscle screaming she'd rather be anywhere else. He didn't blame her. He barged into her life like a damn tornado, dragged her and the girls into his mess, and now here they were, rolling toward a world she didn't trust. The contract sat crumpled in her lap, unopened, a soggy bomb she hadn't touched since snatching it from him. He stole a glance, her hands, rough from work, nails chipped, clenched tight around nothing. She was a wall, and he wasn't sure he had the tools to climb it. Almost there, he said, breaking the quiet, his voice rough from yelling over the storm. 5 minutes, tops. No response, just a slight shift in her seat, the rustle of her jacket loud in the stillness. He turned up Lakeshore Drive, the lake churning black and restless on their right, waves crashing against the break wall like they were pissed at the world. The skyline loomed ahead, Willis Tower stabbing the clouds, Hancock's lights winking through the haze, a postcard view he'd seen 1,000 times. But tonight it felt different, sharper, like it was daring him to pull this off. He flicked on the radio, low, some late-night DJ spinning mellow R&B smooth bass, a woman crooning about heartbreak. It filled the car, softening the edges, but Jasmine didn't budge, her silence a brick he couldn't crack. Mia stirred in the back, mumbling, "Are we there yet?" Her voice thick with sleep, eyes still closed. Zoe twitched, hugging the blanket tighter. "My butt's numb," Ethan smirked, glancing over his shoulder. "Hang on, champs. You're gonna love this place, big TV, hot shower, the works." Mia cracked an eye. "Bigger than the shelter one?" He nodded, turning into the parking garage, the concrete swallowing the engine's growl. "Way bigger. Like movie theater big." Zoe perked up. "With cartoons?" He killed the ignition, the sudden quiet heavy. "All the cartoons you can handle. Let us roll." Jasmine finally moved, uncrossing her arms, grabbing the door handle like it personally offended her. "Simon, girls," she said, voice flat but firm, sliding out into the garage. The air hit cold, damp, smelling like oil and wet pavement, and she hauled the blanket off them, folding it fast. Mia groaned, "I'm sleepy," and Zoe whined, "Carry me, Mom." Jasmine didn't blink. "You got legs, use them." But her tone softened a hair, barely noticeable. Ethan climbed out, shaking off water like a dog, and grabbed the soggy contract from her seat, tucking it under his arm. "I've got bags if you need," he said, nodding at the back. She ignored him, herding the girls toward the elevator, their sneakers scuffing the floor. He punched the code 7321, the glass doors sliding open with a soft ding, and they piled in, the space tight with 4 bodies and the weight of the night. Jasmine stood stiff, cap low, staring at the numbers ticking up 10, 20, 30, her jaw clenched like she was counting the seconds till she could bolt. Mia leaned on her leg. "It's fast." And Zoe giggled, "Like a rocket." Ethan grinned, "Top floor, kiddo, best view in the city." The elevator hit 45, jolting to a stop, and the doors parted straight into the penthouse, a wall of glass. Walnut floors polished to a mirror shine, leather sectional sprawling like it owned the place. The view slammed them, Lake Michigan stretching dark and endless, Chicago's skyline glittering through the drizzle, a million lights winking like stars. Mia gasped, loud and sharp, "Holy crap, Mom, look," her voice bouncing off the high ceilings. Zoe's jaw dropped, blanket slipping to the floor. "It's a castle." She ran to the window, pressing her nose to the glass, smudging it with tiny fingerprints. "I can see everything." Mia bolted after, "The boats." They're so little. Ethan kicked off his muddy Nikes by the door, peeling the hoodie over his head and tossing it on a chair wet, heavy, landing with a slap. Told ya, he said, smirking, bare feet cold on the wood. Make yourselves at home, bedrooms are down the hall. Girls can bunk together. Jasmine, you've got the guest suite. Jasmine didn't move, arms crossed again, cap shadowing her eyes as she took it in the sleek kitchen with its stainless steel and granite. The flat screen bigger than their shelter bunk, the chandelier dripping crystals like frozen rain. It was too much, too fast, and her face set it tight, guarded, like she'd walked into a trap. This as she started, voice low, trailing off as Mia squealed, "Mom, there's a fish tank." Zoe pointed, "With blue ones." The tank glowed in the corner, neon tetras darting through fake coral, a bubble stream humming soft. Ethan grinned, "Yeah, told you crazy, right?" She didn't answer, just stepped forward, slow, like the floor might crack under her. The girls ran circles around the sectional, giggling, their exhaustion gone, replaced by pure, wild awe. "Can we swim in here?" Mia asked, climbing the couch, her socks slipping. Zoe flopped beside her. "Yeah, it's so big," Jasmine snapped. "Get down, why all ain't ruinin' this place first night." Her voice cut sharp, but they obeyed, sliding off with sheepish grins. Ethan watched, leaning on the island. Let em have fun, it's leather, wipes clean. She glared, "Don't tell me how to raise my kids, Cole. You're the driver, not the dad." He raised his hands, fair your show. Mia tugged her sleeve, "Mom, it's so warm." Zoe nodded, "No leaks." Jasmine's eyes flicked to the ceiling, no stains, no drips, just smooth white and something softened, just a crack, before she buried it. "Yeah," she said, "quiet, it's something." She dropped the blanket on the couch, arms still crossed, and Ethan caught it the way she stood, rooted, like she didn't belong. He didn't push, just headed to the kitchen. "Hungry? I can order pizza, pepperoni work?" Mia spun, "Yes, extra cheese." Zoe clapped, "And soda." Jasmine sighed, "Why all are too damn excited." "Pizza it is," he said, pulling out his phone, tapping the order, large, double cheese, Coke on the side. 20 minutes, storm slowing em down. He glanced up, catching her staring not at him, at the fridge, sleek and humming, stocked with more than she'd seen in months. She looked away fast, grabbing the contract from the counter where he tossed it, flipping it open. The pages stuck, ink smudged but readable. 6 months. Temporary marriage, financial support, non-disclosure clause. She scanned it, slow, lips pressed thin, and set it down, unreadable. "This better hold," she said, voice low, a warning. "It will," he said, pocketing the phone. "Lawyer's best work, ironclad." She didn't respond, just watched the girls, Mia pressing buttons on the TV remote, Zoe marveling at the fish. The penthouse hummed quiet, clean, a universe away from Hope Haven's damp rot, and Ethan saw it hit her, the weight of the jump. "Shower us down the hall if you want," he said, nodding left. "Hot water, towels, whatever you need." She nodded, barely, thanks, and turned to the girls. "Simon, why all settle down for you break something." The pizza came fast, the delivery guy soaked and grumbling, $15, as Ethan handed him a 20. "Keep it." They sprawled on the sectional, boxes open, grease staining the cardboard, the girls tearing into slices, cheese stringing everywhere. Mia grinned. "This is better than soup." Zoe nodded, mouth full, "Way better." Jasmine took a slice, picking at it slow, the crust crisp, sauce tangy, a far cry from shelter slop. "Not bad," she said, and Ethan smirked, mid-bite, "High praise, Carter." She didn't look up, just chewed, the warmth sinking in, the first real meal in too long. He grabbed a Coke, cracking it open, the fizz loud in the quiet. "So," he said, wiping his mouth, "what's the plan tomorrow? Park, zoo, chill here?" Mia piped up, "Zoo. Tigers." Zoe nodded. "Bears." Jasmine set her slice down, "We'll see. Depends how late, why all crash." Ethan leaned back, "Zoo, South, solid, Lincoln Park, free, got all that." "I'm game." She didn't commit, just sipped her Coke, the bubbles sharp on her tongue, eyes drifting to the window, the city glowing, endless. a world she didn't know. The girls finished, crumbs everywhere, and slumped back, sugar and cheese hitting hard. I'm full, Mia mumbled, curling up. Zoe yawned. Me too, Jasmine stood, brushing her hands. Bedtime. Then, let us go. They whined. Mom, but shuffled off, too wiped to fight. She followed, herding them to the room queen bed, clean sheets, a desk with a lamp, and tucked them in quick and firm. Sleep tight, she said, kissing their foreheads, voice soft for once. They mumbled, love you, and she lingered, watching them drift, the day's chaos fading. Back in the living room, Ethan was stacking boxes, Coke in hand, the TV flickering mute, a Bulls rerun he didn't care about. She grabbed her slice, finishing it standing, leaning on the island. They're out, she said, wiping her mouth. He nodded, good. You crashin' soon? She shrugged, maybe. You? He grinned after this long night. She didn't smile, just watched him, then headed for the guest suite, door clicking shut. The room hit her king bed, crisp linens, a bathroom with marble tiles, and a shower that looked like a damn spa. She locked the door, peeling off the sweatshirt, catching her reflection, hair wild, eyes hollow, Bull's cap tossed aside. What the hell am I doing? She muttered, cranking the shower hot, steam fogging the mirror. The water pounded her back, washing off south side, the shelter, the storm, but not the doubt. She stood there, letting it burn, the luxury sinking in, a lifeline she didn't trust. Ethan finished his Coke, tossing the can, and flipped off the TV, the penthouse falling quiet, too quiet. He glanced down the hall, Jasmine's door shut, the girls' room dark, and felt it, the shift. This wasn't just a bet anymore, it was real, messy, alive. He headed for his room, stripping the wet jeans, crashing face first into the sheets. Day one, he muttered, the city humming outside. Let us see if I make it. Sleep took him fast, the storm a distant memory. Jasmine stepped out, towel tight, and sank into the bed soft, too soft, swallowing her whole. She stared at the ceiling, the hum of the penthouse lulling her, and wondered how long till this blew up. Sleep came slow, but deep, a reprieve she hadn't earned. The penthouse was cloaked in the gray hush of early Sunday, the kind of quiet that felt heavy after a night of storm and chaos. Jasmine woke sprawled on the guest suite's king bed, sheets tangled around her legs, the plush mattress too soft, too foreign, like it was mocking her old life. Her head throbbed a dull ache from the beer and the weight of yesterday, and she rubbed her eyes, squinting at the clock on the nightstand. 5:47 a.m. too damn early, but sleep was done with her. The city outside hummed low through the thick glass traffic, starting to rumble on Lakeshore Drive, a distant siren cutting the dawn. She sat up, the denim jacket she slept increasing under her, and swung her legs off the bed, bare feet hitting the cool walnut floor. Her Bull's cap sat crumpled on the dresser, a relic from South Side, and she stared at it, the weight of the last 12 hours sinking in like lead. She padded to the door, cracking it open, peering into the dim living room, empty, silent, the pizza boxes still stacked by the trash, a faint whiff of grease lingering. The girl's snores drifted down the hall, soft and steady, a lifeline in the quiet. For a second, she let it settle, peace, real peace, no dripping ceilings or shelter fights waking them too soon. She exhaled, slow, running a hand through her wild curls, and shuffled to the kitchen, the floor chilling her toes. The coffee maker gleamed on the counter, sleek, too many buttons, a rich guy's toy, and she jabbed at it till it hissed to life, the smell of dark roast cutting through the haze. She leaned on the island, palms flat on the granite, waiting, her mind replaying Ethan's pitch 6 months. Fake marriage, $50 million. It sounded crazy in the storm, but here, in this glossy cage, it felt realer, uglier, like a deal she shouldn't have touched. The coffee gurgled to a stop, and she grabbed a mug, white, pristine, heavier than anything she'd owned, pouring it black, the steam curling up sharp and bitter. The first sip scalded her tongue, jolting her awake, and she winced, setting it down with a clink just as her phone buzzed on the counter. It was a cheap burner, A holdover from shelter days, battery clinging to its last bar. She frowned, swiping it open. A text from an unknown number. Ask your new boyfriend about the bet. $50 million says he's using you. Her stomach dropped, cold and hard. A punch she didn't see coming. She read it again, the words blurring. Bet, $50 million, using you, and her breath caught, hands trembling as she locked the screen. What the hell? She whispered, the mug forgotten, her pulse hammering in her ears. Footsteps thumped from the hall. Ethan, stumbling out in a faded Blackhawks tee and sweats. Hair a mess, eyes half closed like he'd lost a fight with sleep. He yawned, big and loud, scratching his jaw as he aimed for the coffee pot, bare feet scuffing the floor. Mornin', he mumbled, voice gravelly, reaching for a mug. Black, chipped, the only flaw in this perfect damn place. He stopped dead when he saw her, mug hovering mid-air, coffee sloshing over the rim. Whoa, you good. Look like you saw a ghost or something. His grin faltered, eyes flicking over her jacket, wrinkled, curls wild, face like thunder, and he set the mug down, slow, like he sensed the storm brewing. She didn't answer, just held up the phone. Screen still dark, her jaw so tight it hurt. Tell me this ain't true, she said, voice low, dangerous, each word a blade. Tell me you didn't drag us into some rich asshole-s game. Her hand shook, the phone wobbling, and he froze, coffee dripping onto the counter, eyes darting from her to the device like it might bite. What were you talking about? He said, but it came out weak, shaky, like he already knew he was screwed. She unlocked it, shoved the text in his face. Ask your new boyfriend about the bet. $50 million says he's using you, and stepped closer, her breath hot. This $50 million says you're using me. That ring any bells, Cole? His face went slack, mug clattering against the granite, coffee pooling dark and ignored. His mouth opened, then shut, and she saw it, guilt, raw and ugly, written all over him. Son of a bitch, she hissed, stepping back, her chest heaving like she'd run a mile. It's true, ain't it? You lying bastard. Her voice cracked, loud enough to bounce off the high ceilings, and he flinched, hands shooting up like he could stop the blast. All right, just keep it down. The girls, she cut him off, lunging forward. Don't you dare bring them into this. You used my kids, you piece of shit. Her fists clenched, nails digging into her palms, and tears burned her eyes. Anger, betrayal, all of it boiling over. She wouldn't let him see her break. Not now, not ever. It's not what you think, he said, stepping toward her, voice low, pleading. But she backed up, hitting the island hard, the edge biting her hip. Not what I think. She laughed, bitter, ragged, the sound tearing out of her. You expect me to buy that? You're playing me for a paycheck. My girls trusted you. Her throat tightened, choking on it. Mia's giggle at the zoo. Zoe's shy lean on the couch, all poison now. He shook his head, hands still up. Jazz, listen, it started as a bet. Yeah, Lucas dared me. Said I couldn't handle 6 months with someone like you. 50 mil on it. But it's not just that anymore. Don't jazz me, she snapped, cutting him dead, her voice a growl. Someone like me? What, poor? Desperate? A fucking joke to you? She stabbed a finger at him, trembling, the phone still clutched in her other hand. He winced, rubbing his neck. No, that'us not look. I was gonna tell you, I swear. After yesterday, I knew it wasn't a game no more. You, the girls, you're real, more real than anything I've got. I'm not playing you, not now. His eyes begged, wide and raw, but she wasn't buying it. Not after this. You expect me to believe that? She said, voice shaking, stepping closer, her breath hot in his face. You lied. Ethan, from the jump, you lied. You dragged us out of that shelter, stuck us in this fancy-ass lie, and it's all for what? Your ego? Your bank account? Tears spilled now. She couldn't stop them, hot and fast, and she swiped them away, furious, hating herself for it. He reached out. Jasmine, I'll call it off. Tell Lucas to shove it. Keep his money. She slapped his hand away, hard, the smack echoing. You think that fixes this? You think sorry cuts it? My girls, my babies trusted you. Her chest cracked open, the weight of it crushing Mia. Ses nice. Mom. Zoe is sleepy thanks. Ethan all ash now. She turned, storming to the couch, snatching her cap, yanking it on like armor. We're gone, she said, voice flat, final, grabbing the blanket, folding it fast, jerky, like it keep her together. He followed. Wait, don't do this. Let us talk. She spun on him, eyes blazing. Talk? You had your damn chance. Stay the hell away from us. She bolted for the girls' room, slamming the door open, the bang jolting them awake. Mia sat up, rubbing her eyes. Mom? What's wrong? Her voice small, sleepy, hair a mess. Zoe clutched her plushie, blinking fast. Why were you yellin'? Jasmine swallowed, throat burning, forcing it steady. Get up, babies, we're leavin'. Now. They stared, confused, Mia sliding out slow. But I like it here. Zoe's lip wobbled. Back to the shelter? Jasmine grabbed their bags, Target haul, half-packed, and shoved clothes in tiger shirt, paw hoodie, whatever, her hands shaking bad. Somewhere safe, she said, voice cracking, away from him. Ethan hovered in the doorway. Jasmine, please just hear me out. She pushed past. Get out of my way, dragging the girls, their socks slipping on the wood. Mia sniffled. Mom, why? Zoe's eyes welled up. I thought he liked us. Jasmine knelt, pulling them close, her chest splitting. He lied. Babies, I'm sorry. I should have known. Tears choked her, soaking their hair, and she stood, slinging the bags over her shoulder, hauling them to the elevator. Ethan trailed, desperate. Don't go, I'll fix this. She punched the button, doors crawling open. Fix your damn self. Shoving them in, the girls clinging, whimpering. The ride down was a blur. 45 floors of silence. Mia's sobs, Zoe's hiccups, Jasmine's pulse hammering. The garage hit cold and stark oil, wet concrete, the Rover mocking her in its spot. She turned away, dragging them to the street, rain spitting light, the city waking gray and mean. Ethan's voice chased her, echoing from the stairs. Jasmine, wait. She didn't look back, pulling faster, their little hands tight in hers, tears mixing with the drizzle. 2 blocks down, she flagged a cab yellow, screeching to a stop, shoving them in, slamming the door. South side, she barked, voice raw, collapsing against the seat. The driver glanced back. You okay, lady? She nodded, sharp, drive. The cab lurched off, Ethan's figure shrinking in the mirror, hoodie, hands out, yelling something lost to the wind. She turned away, hugging the girls, their sobs soaking her jacket, the text searing her brain. Using you, using you. Shelter was out, too close, too raw, so she aimed for a motel off 63rd. A dive she crashed at once after Derek bailed. The meter ticked $20 she scraped from her pocket, and they stumbled in, the clerk barely looking up, cash swapped for a key. Room 12 stank smoke, mildew, a sagging bed with stained sheets, but it was theirs. No one's game. She locked the door, sliding down against it, knees up, the girls curling on the mattress, scared, lost. Why did he lie, Mom? Mia whispered, voice tiny, eyes red. Zoe hugged her plushie. I thought he was our friend. Jasmine's throat closed, tears spilling hard now. She couldn't hold him back. I don't know, babies, she choked, crawling over, wrapping them tight. I thought so too, I'm so damn sorry. They clung, her rocking them slow, the rain tapping the window like a dirge. Her mind spun 50 million, a bet, a lie she bought, and she hated him, hated herself more. The girls drifted off, exhaustion winning, and she sat there, staring at the peeling wall, phone dead in her pocket. She figure it out, always did, but now it was just them, running from a dream turned nightmare. Ethan stood in the garage, chest heaving, her name still burning his throat. Jasmine. The cab's taillights gone, swallowed by the wet dawn. He punched the wall, knuckles splitting, blood smearing the concrete, a hot sting he barely felt. Fuck, he hissed, sliding down, head in his hands, the cold seeping through his sweats. Lucas had done it, twisted the knife, torched everything. And he let him, too damn proud, too blind. Mia's sniffle, Zoe's tremble, they gutted him. Worse than any loss, and Jasmine's voice, "You used my kids," rang like a gunshot he couldn't unhear. The penthouse loomed above, empty now, a glossy shell he gambled and lost. Oof, that betrayal hit hard, folks. Jasmine's out, Ethan's down. Who's Team Jasmine, who's Team Ethan? Tell me below, and hit subscribe to see how they bounce back. The garage floor was cold as hell against Ethan's back, the concrete biting through his sweats as he sat there, head tipped against the wall, blood still trickling from his knuckles. The cab was long gone. Jasmine, Mia, Zoe, swallowed by the wet gray of Chicago's dawn, and the silence roared louder than the storm ever had. His breath puffed out in short, ragged bursts, fogging in the chill, and he stared at the smear of red on his hand, the sting pulsing with every heartbeat. Fuck, he muttered again, voice hoarse, scraping the quiet like sandpaper. The penthouse loomed 45 floors up, a glass tomb he built to keep the world out, and now it felt like a cage, empty, useless, mocking him with its shine. He screwed it, bad, and the weight of it sat on his chest like a damn boulder. He pushed up, slow, joints creaking, and wiped his hand on his sweats, leaving a rust-colored streak. The elevator ride back was a blur, ding, hum, doors sliding open to that pristine living room. Pizza boxes still stacked, the girl's blanket crumpled on the couch where Jasmine had left it. He stopped, staring at it, thin, frayed, patched with duct tape, a relic of their old life she clung to even here. His throat tightened, and he grabbed it, clutching it like it tell him where they gone. It smelled faintly of them cheap soap, a hint of sugar from last night's Coke, and he sank onto the sectional, burying his face in it, the fabric rough against his skin. What the hell did I do? He whispered, voice cracking, the room swallowing it whole. The TV flickered mute, a Bulls rerun stuck on a loop, and he flipped it off, the silence slamming back harder. His phone buzzed on the counter, 3 missed calls. Lucas's name glaring like a taunt. He snatched it, thumb hovering over the screen, rage boiling hot and fast. That son of a bitch had texted her, blown it all up, and Ethan wanted to smash something, his face, the phone, anything. He dialed instead, pacing, the line ringing sharp in his ear. Lucas picked up on the third, voice smooth, smug, like he'd been waiting. Well, Cole, how's the bet going? She ditch you yet? You piece of shit, Ethan growled, gripping the phone till his knuckles throbbed. You texted her, told her everything. You happy now? Lucas laughed, low and oily, the sound crawling under Ethan's skin. Oh man, she found out? That gold didn't think she'd catch on so quick. Guess she's smarter than you. Ethan stopped pacing, chest heaving. Keep your damn money, Lucas, I'm out. Shove it up your ass. Lucas's laugh sharpened. Out? You can't quit, buddy, you're in till the clock runs. 6 months or bust. What's the matter, slum life too rough for ya? Ethan hung up, slamming the phone down, the crack echoing like a gunshot. He stood there, breathing hard, hands shaking, the penthouse too big, too quiet around him. Jasmine's voice looped in his head, you used my kids, and he saw them. Mia's sleepy grin, Zoe's shy lean, gone now, running from him. He fucked it, not just the bet, not just Lucas, but them. Real people, not pawns, and he treated them like a game. His stomach twisted, sour and tight, and he grabbed his keys, the jangle loud in his fist. He couldn't stay here, couldn't sit in this glossy lie, needed air, needed something to shake this off. The Rover roared out of the garage, tires squealing on the wet concrete, and he drove blind, lake shore blurring past, the lake churning dark and pissed on his right. He didn't know where he was going till he hit West Side, the streets narrowing, the shine fading to grit, boarded up storefronts, chain link fences rattling in the wind, a stray dog dodging puddles under a busted streetlight. This was his old turf, the hole he clawed out of ratty apartments. No heat, the stink of desperation he buried under money and swagger. He pulled up to a sagging brick building on 26th, the place he called home till he was 12, till his mom bailed with some slick-talking asshole promising a better gig. The windows were dark now, glass cracked, a for rent sign peeling in the drizzle. He killed the engine, stepping out, the cold biting through his sweats, blood crusting on his knuckles. The stoop was still there, chipped concrete. Graffiti scratched into it, and he sat, heavy, the damp seeping into his bones. Memories hit hard, shivering under a thin blanket. Mama's diner uniform stinking of grease. Her scribbled note when she left. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I can't stay." He found it with a bag of stale chips. 12 years old. Alone. Swearing he'd never be that kid again. He'd built an empire to prove it, penthouse, jets, a life where nobody could touch him. And now he was losing it anyway, not to poverty, but to his own damn pride. A shadow moved, some old guy, hunched under a trash bag poncho, shuffling past. "You Coles kid?" he rasped, voice like gravel, squinting through the wet. Ethan looked up, startled. "Yeah, how do you?" The guy coughed. "A wet hack." "Thought so. Saw you round back then, skinny little shit, always running. You made it big." "Huh?" Ethan nodded, slow, "Guess so." The guy smirked, toothless. "Don't look big now, look lost." He shuffled off, disappearing into the gray, and Ethan sat there, the words sinking and lost. Yeah, that was it. He stood, slow, the blanket still in the Rover's passenger seat, and walked past the old corner store where he'd swiped candy. The alley where he'd scrapped with bigger kids, the dumpster he'd slept behind once when the landlord locked him out. It was all still here, unchanged. A ghost town of who he'd been. He stopped at a rusted mailbox, its door hanging open, and reached in nothing but trash. Wrappers, a soggy envelope. He pulled it out, peeling it open, yellowed, faded, addressed to Ethan Cole. Apt 3B in his mama's shaky scrawl. His gut twisted, hands trembling as he unfolded it. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I couldn't stay. You're better off, always were. Love, Mom." Dated 10 years back. Stamped return to sender. She tried. Late, too late. He crumpled it, shoving it in his pocket, the paper cutting his skin. "Better off," he muttered, bitter. Kicking the mailbox, clang echoing down the empty street. He wasn't better off. He turned into her, chasing cash over everything, leaving people behind. Jasmine's face flashed, furious, broken, hauling the girls away, and he saw it clear. He'd done this, not Lucas, him. The bet was a spark. He'd lit the fire. He trudged back to the Rover, slamming the door, the engine roaring as he peeled out, West Side shrinking in the mirror. He wasn't going home, not yet. Hope Haven loomed ahead, still a dump even in daylight, drizzle streaking the brick. A tarp flapping over the busted awning he'd dodged last night. He parked, sloppy, and stepped out, the blanket in his hands, blood crusted on his knuckles. The door creaked open. A woman in a hairnet, stirring oatmeal, eyed him wary. "We're full up," she said, voice flat. He shook his head. "Not staying here to help. Fix that roof or something." She squinted. "You? In them fancy clothes?" He shrugged. "Yeah, me. Got a ladder?" She pointed him to a shed, rusted tools, a wobbly ladder, and he got to work, hauling it up, climbing shaky rungs to the roof. Rain spat light, slicking the shingles, and he hammered nails into the tarp, clumsy, hands slipping, blood smearing the metal. It wasn't much patch job, not a fix, but it hold. Maybe, till someone real came. Kids peeked from the windows, whispering, "Who's that?" And he ignored them, pounding till his arms ached, the cold numbing his fingers. The woman Marla, she said, brought him coffee after, black and burnt. "You're bleedin'," nodding at his hand. He shrugged. "It's fine," sipping the sludge, wincing. He stayed till noon, patching leaks, hauling trash, scrubbing grime off tables, his sweats filthy, hair matted with sweat and rain. Marla watched, arms crossed. "Why you here, fancy boy? Guilt?" He wiped his brow, "Something like that." She smirked. "Better than nothing." He didn't argue guilt was right, gnawing deep, but it wasn't enough. Jasmine's voice, "Stay the hell away," rang, and he knew she wouldn't care about this. Not yet. He grabbed the blanket, heading back to the Rover, the shelter's hum fading behind. He drove aimless, slow till dusk hit, the city glowing orange and bruised. His phone buzzed. Lucas again. Ignored, and he pulled over near the lake, engine idling, staring at the waves. The note burned in his pocket. Jasmine's face burned worse, and he gripped the wheel, knuckles white under the blood. I'm done, he muttered, to nobody, the words fogging the windshield. Done with Lucas, done with bets, done with proving shit to assholes who didn't matter. He lost them, her, the girls, and it wasn't about the money. Not anymore. It was about them, real as hell, and he fucked it beyond repair. He rolled back to the penthouse, late, the city dark and slick. The living room hit empty blanket on the couch, pizza boxes, her cap gone, and he sank into it, head in his hands. He fixed this not for Lucas, not for pride, but for them. How, he didn't know, but he figure it out. Day forloomed, and he wasn't the same guy who walked into that storm. Not anymore. The penthouse was a ghost town under the Monday morning gloom. The kind of gray that seeped through the glass walls and turned everything flat and lifeless. Ethan woke on the sectional, neck stiff from crashing there again. The blanket still bunched under him like a bad dream he couldn't shake. His phone buzzed on the coffee table, 6 missed calls. A dozen texts, all Lucas, all ignored, and he groaned, rubbing his face, stubble rough against his palms. The clock glowed 7:13 a.m., too early for this shit, but sleep had ditched him hours ago, leaving him raw and restless. His knuckles were scabbed over, a dull ache from yesterday's punch, and his sweat stank of West Side mud and shelter grime. He sat up, slow, the room spinning a little. Coffee, he needed coffee, something to cut through the fog. He shuffled to the kitchen, the walnut floor cold under his socks, and jabbed the coffee maker awake, the hiss filling the silence. The city hummed outside Lakeshore Drive, waking up, horns bleeding, the lake churning gray and restless, but it felt distant, like he was stuck in a bubble watching it move without him. Jasmine's cap was gone, the girl's giggles a memory, and the emptiness gnawed at him, sharper than he expected. He spent yesterday at Hope Haven hammering tarps, scrubbing floors, trying to outrun the guilt, but it hadn't worked. Her voice, "You used my kids," looped in his head, a knife he couldn't pull out, and that damn note from his mom sat crumpled in his pocket, a weight he didn't want to touch. The coffee gurgled to a stop, and he poured it black, the mug hot against his scabs, the first sip burning his tongue. His phone buzzed again, Lucas, 7th call, and he snatched it, thumb hovering, rage bubbling hot and fast. "Asshole," he muttered, swiping it open, not to answer but to check the texts. "Heard your girl bailed, tough break." Man followed by a winking emoji. Then, "Check the news, Cole, you're trending." His gut twisted, cold and tight, and he dropped the mug, coffee splashing dark across the counter. "What the hell," he said, voice rough, fumbling to open X, the app loading slow on the penthouse's fancy Wi-Fi. It hit like a freight train, his name plastered everywhere. Hashtag screaming. Hashtag Ethan Cole scam. Hashtag fake marriage fraud. Top post. A video. Grainy but unmistakable, him at the bar last week. Lucas's smug face in the frame. Ethan's voice slurring loud over the clink of glasses. 6 months with some chick from the streets? 50 mil says I can watch me. The clip cut to him laughing, cocky as hell, slamming a shot, Lucas egging him on. "You'll crack. Man, she'll ditch you first." It had 10,000 retweets, comments piling up, rich prick playing with people's lives, disgusting, who's the girl? And a link to a tabloid headline. Billionaire's bet, Ethan Cole's secret scheme exposed. His stomach dropped, the phone slipping in his hand, clattering to the counter. "Fuck," he hissed, scrolling fast. Photos of him leaving Hope Haven yesterday, muddy and grim. Caption: Cole spotted at shelter damage control. Then a blurry shot of Jasmine and the girls in the cab, her face half hidden but unmistakable. Mystery woman flees penthouse with kids. The internet was a feeding frenzy, tearing him apart, and he saw it clear. Lucas had leaked it, the whole damn thing, video, bet, all of it. His chest tightened, breath short, and he grabbed the phone, dialing Lucas, the line ringing sharp and endless. No answer, just voicemail, that smug drawl. "Leave it, I'll get back." He slammed the phone down again, cracking the screen. "You son of a bitch." The coffee was cold now, pooling on the granite, and he paced 5 steps, turn, 5 steps, turn. The penthouse too big, too quiet, closing in like a trap. He lost them, Jasmine, the girls, and now the world knew, twisting it into a circus, a punchline. His rep, years of deals, handshakes, power was ash, and worse, They dragged her into it, her and the twins, plastered online for every asshole to gawk at. He stopped, grabbing the blanket, clutching it till his knuckles throbbed her face in that cab. Mia's sobs, Zoe's tremble, and the guilt hit harder than Lucas's leak ever could. He needed to move. Couldn't he stay here? Couldn't he let it fester? He yanked on jeans, a hoodie, clean ones. The muddy sweats tossed and grabbed his keys, the jangle loud in his fist. The Rover roared out, tires squealing, and he aimed for South Side, Hope Haven, the only place he knew to start. The streets blurred, Loop's shine fading to grit. West Side's ghosts whispering as he passed, and he gripped the wheel, jaw tight. The city waking mean and wet around him. He had to find her, fix this, something, anything, but the tabloids were a wildfire and he was the match. Hope Haven looked worse in daylight, bricks streaked with rain. Tarp flapping loose where he nailed it. Kids kicking a deflated ball in the muddy lot. He parked, sloppy, and stepped out, hoodie up, the drizzle spitting light on his face. Marla, the hairnet lady, stood by the door, arms crossed, stirring a pot of something gray on a camp stove. She clocked him, squinting. Back again? Thought you'd be done after one day. He shook his head. Not done here to help. Anything. She smirked. Help? You're a damn mess. Look like you ain't slept. He shrugged. Haven tea. What's on today? She jerked her head. Kitchen's flooded pipe burst. Grab a mop if you're serious. He nodded. Heading in the shelter hit with damp rot. Kids yelling. A baby wailing somewhere deep, and found the mop. The floor slick with brown water. He got to work, sloshing it into buckets, arms burning, the rhythm numbing his head. People stared, some recognized him now, whispers spreading. That's the guy from the news, but he kept going, ignoring the buzz, the weight of eyes. Marla tossed him a rag after. You're stubborn, I'll give you that. And he wiped his hands. Gotta be. He was hauling trash, soggy diapers, broken toys when it hit. Shouts, loud and sharp, from the front. He dropped the bag, jogging out. Marla already there. What the hell? Glass shattered. A brick sailing through the window. Kids screaming, scattering. Two guys, big, hooded, faces shadowed, stood outside. One chucking another brick, the other swinging a bat at the awning. Where's the bitch and her brats? The bat guy yelled, voice rough, thick with Southside grit. Ethan's gut twisted. Jasmine. The girls, and he bolted forward. Hey! Shoving past Marla, who grabbed his arm. Don't their trouble. He shook her off, storming out, hoodie slipping, rain stinging his face. Back off, he barked, fists up, the guys turning slow, sizing him up. That guy smirked. Well, shit, look who it is. Cole, right? The big shot? Brick guy laughed. Lucas says High wants his 50 mil worth. Ethan's blood ran cold. Lucas, this was Lucas, sending muscle to twist the knife. Leave em alone, he said, voice low, stepping closer, gravel crunching under his boots. They're gone, ain't here. That guy swung, casual, the wood cracking against the wall. Gone. Huh? Too bad, we got orders. Find em, fuck em up, make you pay. He lunged, bat arcing, and Ethan dodged, barely, the air whooshing past his ear. Brick guy charged, fist flying, caught Ethan's jaw hard, stars exploding, blood flooding his mouth. He stumbled, spitting red, and swung back, wild, connecting with Brick's nose crunch, a howl, blood spraying. That guy came again, wood slamming Ethan's shoulder, pain searing hot and white. He dropped, rolling, gravel biting his knees, and kicked up, caught Bat's shin, guy cursing, staggering. Shouts Marla. Call the cops. Kids screaming, chaos spilling out. Ethan scrambled up, lunging at Bat, tackling him to the mud, fists pounding face, chest, anything, rage driving him blind. Brick grabbed his hoodie, yanking him off, fist slamming his ribs, air rushing out. He hit the ground, gasping, and saw it, Jasmine, sprinting from across the lot, motel key dangling, eyes wide with panic. Get off him, she yelled, grabbing a busted plank, swinging hard, cracked Brick's arm, him howling, dropping Ethan. Bat turned, you bitch, and she swung again, with splintering on his shoulder, guy stumbling back. Ethan coughed, blood dripping, hauling up. Jasmine, she didn't look, just stood over him, plank raised, breathing hard. Stay down, Cole, she snapped, eyes locked on the thugs. Brick clutched his arm. Fuck this, Lucas, didn't he pay enough? And bat spat, we're out. They bolted limping, cursing, van peeling off, tires screeching through the wet. Jasmine dropped the plank, chest heaving, and turned, glaring down at him. What the hell is this? He pushed up, wincing, shoulder screaming, blood smearing his chin. Lucas sent M. For you, the girls. Her face went slack, then hard. Where are they? She spun, scanning two little figures by the motel fence, Mia and Zoe, huddled, crying. She ran, dropping to them. You okay? You hurt? They shook their heads, sobbing. Mom. They hit Ethan. She hugged them tight, tears spilling, then glared back. Why were you here? He staggered over, spitting blood. To fix it, been here since yesterday. Didn't he know they d? She cut him off. Fix it? You brought this. Look at this shit. The shelter glass shattered. Kids wailing. Marla yelling for help, chaos. All him. He nodded, slow, pain pulsing. I know I fucked it. I'm sorry, Jasmine, I'm out, told Lucas to shove it. She stood, girls clinging, sorry, don't cut it. They're after us, cause of you. Sirens wailed, cops rolling up, lights flashing, and Ethan sank to the curb, blood dripping, shoulder throbbing. Jasmine backed off, pulling the girls, stay away, we're done. He didn't argue, just watched her fierce. Them scared cops swarming, questions flying. Marla grabbed his arm. You okay? He shook his head, no, voice rough, but they are. Jasmine's glare lingered. Then she turned, disappearing with the girls, motel swallowing them again. He sat there, rain mixing with blood, the shelter a wreck, his life a bigger one. Lucas had won this round, scandal, thugs, all of it, but Ethan wasn't playing anymore. He fixed this, for them, no matter what. The rain had stopped, leaving South Side slick and gleaming under a sky bruised purple with dusk. Ethan slumped on the curb outside Hope Haven, blood crusted on his lip, his shoulder screaming every time he shifted. The shelter buzzed behind him, cops barking questions, kids crying, Marla yelling at some guy to mop up the glass, but it all blurred into static. A dull roar he couldn't focus on. His hoodie was torn, soaked with mud and blood, and his jeans clung cold to his legs, gravel embedded in the knees. The badass crack against his shoulder echoed in his bones. A hot pulse of pain that matched the throb in his jaw where Brick's fist had landed. He spat, red flecking the pavement, and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, the scabs on his knuckles splitting fresh. Jasmine was gone, her and the girls, vanishing back to that motel across the lot, her last glare burning hotter than the bruises. Stay away, we're done, her words cut deeper than the bat, sharper than the scandal blowing up his phone, still cracked and buzzing in his pocket. He didn't check it, didn't need to. Lucas's goons had come for her, for Mia and Zoe, and he brought it here, a wrecking ball he couldn't dodge. The cops milled around, one jotting notes, another taping off the busted window, but they hadn't hauled him off yet. Marla's he fought him off, bought him that much. He didn't feel like a hero, just a dumbass bleeding on the curb, the shelter's chaos his fault. An ambulance rolled up, lights flashing silent, and a paramedic hopped out short, stocky, clipboard in hand. You the guy who took the bat? She asked, voice clipped, kneeling beside him. He nodded, wincing as she prodded his shoulder. Yeah, hurts like hell. She flashed a light in his eyes. Follow this, good. Concussion out, but that shoulder messed up. Could be a fracture. Hospital? He shook his head. No, patch me up here. She raised an eyebrow. Tough guy. Huh? Fine, sit still. She dug into her kit, gauze, tape, a sling, and worked fast, wrapping his shoulder tight, the pressure making him grit his teeth. Keep it iced, she said, standing, and don't be a hero again next time, worse. He muttered, thanks, as she packed up, the sling pinning his arm awkward and stiff. The cops waved her off, one squatting beside him, notebook out. Name Officer Ruiz, wanna tell me who those punks were? Ethan shrugged, pain spiking. Don't know, said Lucas sent M. Lucas Hayes. Ruiz scribbled, rich guy, huh? Why is he after you? Ethan's jaw tightened. Long story, bet gone bad. Ruiz smirked. Sounds like rich people problems. The woman Carter, she said they wanted her. Why? Ethan looked away. Me, my fault. Their leverage. Ruiz nodded, flipping the notebook shut. We'll look into Hayes' description matches some locals we know. Stay out of trouble, Cole, you're a mess. He stood, radio crackling, and Ethan stayed put, the curb cold under him, the motel's neon vacancy flickering across the lot. Jasmine was in there, her and the girls, hiding, scared, and he couldn't move, couldn't leave, even if she told him to. The blanket sat in the Rover, a lifeline he didn't deserve, and he stared at it through the windshield, the weight of yesterday crushing him. West Side, the note, the shelter. He walked away from Lucas, but Lucas hadn't walked away from him. A shadow moved. Marla, stepping out, arms crossed, her hairnet crooked. You're still here? She said, voice rough but softer than before. Thought you'd run back to your tower. He shook his head. Slow. Can't not till I know they're safe. She squinted. Carter and the kids? They're shook. One talk to me neither. You really screw this up. Huh? He nodded, spitting blood again. Yeah, big time. She sighed. Well, you took a beating for it, dumb. But something. Cops LL watch the place tonight. Go clean up, you stink. He stood, wincing, the sling pulling tight, and limped to the Rover, the motel pulling his eyes like a magnet. He didn't see her, windows dark, curtains drawn, but he felt her. That fierce wall he crashed into. The engine growled awake, and he rolled out slow, south side fading. Lake shore looming ahead. The penthouse hit empty, coffee cold on the counter, blanket on the couch, and he sank into it. Phone buzzing again. Ignored. Sleep wouldn't come, not with his shoulder screaming, not with her voice in his head, so he sat, staring at the city lights, the glow mocking him till dawn broke gray and mean. Tuesday hit hard, his phone blew up, news alert screaming. Cole's shelter brawl. Billionaire's bet turns violent, photos of him bloody on the curb, the busted window, blurry shots of Jasmine swinging that plank. X was a war zone, he's a thug now? Poor kid's caught in this, and his stock ticker flashed red, investors bailing fast. He muted it, tossing the phone, and iced his shoulder, the cold biting through the sling. Lucas had one scandal, chaos, his rep torched, but Ethan didn't care about that, not anymore. It was the Mia's tears, Zoe's fear, Jasmine's rage, and he lit the fuse. He was on his third coffee, pacing the penthouse, when the buzzer rang sharp, insistent, jolting him stiff. He hit the intercom. Yeah? A voice crackled, rough, familiar. Marla. Cole, get down here now. It's bad. His gut dropped. What? But she cut off, static buzzing. He grabbed his keys, hoodie on despite the pain, and bolted the elevator too slow, stairs faster, shoulder screaming with every step. The Rover peeled out, Lakeshore a blur, South Side rushing up, Hope Haven's lot packed, cop cars flashing, an ambulance idling grim. He slammed the brakes, skidding to a stop, and stumbled out, mud, glass, blood on the ground, Marla waving him over, face tight. They came back, she said, voice shaking. Last night, bigger crew. Took her Mia, Zoe too. Ethan's chest seized. What? Where she pointed. Motel kicked the door in, dragged him out. Cops got a call, some guy saw, but too late. He spun, scanning the motel door, splintered, yellow tape flapping, kids huddled by the shelter, crying. Jasmine? He choked, and Marla shook her head. Gone, fought like hell, they said. Lucas again? He nodded, numb. Yeah, Lucas. His knees buckled, but he caught himself, the sling pulling tight, pain a distant hum. He done this, left them, let them run, and Lucas pounced. Ruiz jogged over. Cole witness says black van, no plates, headed east. We're sweepin', but Ethan cut him. East Calumet River? Ruiz frowned. Maybe. Why? Ethan didn't answer, bolting for the Rover, Marla yelling, where you going? He didn't stop, engine roaring, tires screaming, eastbound, the river his only guess. Calumet hit industrial, bleak, warehouses rusting by the water, the river dark and oily under the overcast. He rolled slow, scanning black van, parked crooked by a dock, two figures smoking outside. His gut clenched. Lucas's eyes, and he killed the engine, slipping out, hoodie up, staying low. Pain throbbed, but adrenaline drowned it. His breath shallow as he crept closer, gravel crunching soft under his boots. Voices rough, laughing drifted. Boss says wait Cole, I'll show. He froze, then moved behind a rusted crate, peering out. Mia's sob hit small, scared, from inside, and Zoe's whimper followed. Mom, his chest cracked, and he saw her Jasmine, tied to a chair in the open van, bruised, glaring, plank gone but fight still blazing. He didn't think charged, silent, slamming into Smoker 1, fist cracking jaw, guy dropping with a grunt. Smoker 2 swung a pipe, fast catching his bad shoulder, white-hot pain exploding. He roared, tackling him, fists wild blood, teeth, a howl, and the guy went down, out cold. Jasmine yelled, "Ethan," and he stumbled to her, ripping at the ropes rough, cutting her wrists till they snapped. She surged up, grabbing a wrench from the van floor. The girls, Mia and Zoe, huddled in the back, ropes loose, crying. He scooped the Mia in his good arm, Zoe clinging to his neck, pain searing but ignored, and ran, Jasmine beside him, wrench raised. A shout, third guy, bat swinging, caught his leg, tripping him hard, girls tumbling, screaming. Jasmine spun, wrench cracking skull, guy dropping like a stone. Go, she yelled, hauling Mia, Ethan grabbing Zoe, the Rover 50 yards too far, too close. Tires screeched, van peeling out, Lucas's voice barking through a phone on the ground. Get him. But they hit the car, doors slamming, engine roaring alive. He floored it, gravel spraying, the river shrinking, girls sobbing in back, Jasmine panting beside him. You okay? He choked, shoulder bleeding through the sling, leg throbbing. She nodded, sharp. Yeah, you? He spat blood, been better. Mia wailed, they hurt you. Zoe clung to her plushie. Mom hit him. Jasmine pulled them close, we're safe, shoo, we're safe. Ethan glanced, Lucas 1T stop. She glared, then we stop him. They hit Lake Shore, cops swarming Ruiz, Marla, lights flashing, and Ethan braked, slumping, pain crashing now. Jasmine climbed out, girls in tow, and he followed, staggering, Ruiz catching him, hospital now. He nodded, but grabbed Jasmine's arm, soft. I'm sorry, I'm out. For real. She stared, eyes hard, then softening, prove it. He nodded, I will. Cops took over, medics rushing, and she walked away, girls safe, her fierce, but he saw it, a crack, maybe trust, maybe not. Ethan's down. Jasmine's clutch, what a turn. Folks, Scandalous wild your take? Drop it below, and subscribe for more. The hospital lights buzzed harsh and white, bleaching the emergency room into a sterile blur that stung Ethan's eyes. He slumped in a plastic chair, the sling digging into his neck, his shoulder a throbbing mess under fresh bandages, stitches now, courtesy of the bat and yesterday's pipe. His jaw was swollen, lips split, and his leg ached where the last swing had caught him, a deep bruise blooming purple under the torn jeans. The medic had pumped him with painkillers, but they barely dulled the edge, just enough to keep him upright, not enough to quiet the storm in his head. Blood crusted his knuckles, fresh from the river brawl, and his hoodie hung off him, ripped and muddy, stinking of sweat and Calumet's oily grit. The clock on the wall ticked past midnight Tuesday, bleeding into Wednesday, March 12, 2025, and he stared at it, the seconds dragging like knives. Jasmine sat across the waiting room, Mia and Zoe curled against her on a bench, their little bodies tucked under a hospital blanket, clean, white, a far cry from the shelterless rag. Mia clutched her tiger shirt, Zoe hugged her plushy dog, both asleep, faces streaked with dried tears but calm now, breathing steady. Jasmine didn't sleep, her eyes were locked on them, fierce, unblinking, like she'd fight the world to keep them safe. Her denim jacket was torn at the sleeve, wrists raw from the ropes, a bruise darkening her cheek where Lucas's goons had landed a hit. She hadn't said much since the cops rolled up statements given, quick and clipped, her voice steady but hollow. Ethan had watched her from the stretcher, her holding the girls, refusing to let go, and he kept his distance. The weight of her last words prove it hanging heavy between them. Ruiz paced near the vending machine, radio crackling low, talking to another cop. Marla's call had brought them fast, but not fast enough to catch the van. Black, no plates, eastbound. Ruiz had said, matches yesterday's crew Hayes' muscle, we're guessing. Ethan had nodded, blood dripping, it's him Lucas. 1T stop till he gets me. Ruiz had scribbled it, grim, we'll find him, sit tight. Now the waiting room hummed, nurses shuffling. A drunk guy snoring in the corner. The TV bolted, high flashing news. Coles shelter chaos. Billionaire injured in South Side clashes, face, bloody and grim, plastered again. The scandal a wildfire he couldn't outrun. He shifted, wincing, the sling pulling tight, and caught Jasmine's eye brief, sharp, like a spark in the dark. She didn't look away, just held it. Her jaw set, lips pressed thin. You're a damn magnet for trouble, she said, voice low, rough, cutting through the hospital buzz. He nodded, slow, spitting a coppery taste into a napkin the medic had left. Yeah, sorry, don't cut it, I know. Lucas, he's after me, not you. Shouldn't he have dragged you in? She snorted, faint. Dragged? You begged me in big talk, big promises. Look where it got us. Her words hit like a punch, and he leaned forward, elbows on his knees, ignoring the pain spiking his shoulder. I'm out, told him yesterday, meant it. This, he waved at the room, the blood, the girls, this ain't what I wanted. I fucked up, Jasmine, bad, but I'll fix it. She didn't blink, just stared, the bruise on her cheek catching the light. Fix it? They took my babies, tied me up, swung at you. How you fix that? Her voice cracked, just a hair, and she clamped it shut, arms tightening around the girls. He didn't have an answer, not a good one, just sat there. The blanket-esque ghost in his hands, the weight of her glare crushing him. Ruiz broke it, stepping over. Cole got a lead. Van S tagged near Calumet again, warehouses. Hayes might be holed up. We're moving soon. Ethan straightened, wincing. I'm in, take me. Ruiz frowned. You're a mess, stay put. Ethan stood, shaky but firm. No, they're my mess. I'm going. Jasmine's eyes flicked up. You're crazy, sit your ass down. He met her gaze. Crazy got us here, crazy gets us out. Lucas wants me, I'll give him me. She didn't argue, just watched, something shifting, anger. Sure, but a flicker of something else, maybe respect, maybe not. Ruiz sighed, fine civilian ride along, no hero shit. Carter? She shook her head. They stay here safe. I'm with you. Ethan blinked. Jasmine, she cut him. Shut it, I ain't leaving this to you. They're my girls. Ruiz nodded, squad car, 5 minutes move. She kissed Mia and Zoya's foreheads, whispering, stay with Marla, Mames coming back, and stood, jacket creaking, eyes hard. The ride to Calumet was tense, squad car, lights off. Ruiz up front, Ethan and Jasmine in back, the city blurring dark and wet. Her wrench sat in her lap, she grabbed it from the rover, a makeshift blade, and she gripped it, knuckles white, silent. Ethan's shoulder throbbed, painkillers fading, but he ignored it, staring out at the warehouses, looming rusted hulks, shadows flickering in the sodium glow. Ruiz muttered, Tip says Hayes is here, warehouse 17, East Dock. Thinks he's got more guys. Ethan nodded, he want the files, proof I've got on him. Running dirty deals through my company years back. Jasmine turned. Files? What files? He swallowed. Old drive evidence. He washed money through my projects. Kept it quiet, leverage. He knows I've got it. She glared. And you didn't burn it? Dumbass. He nodded. Yeah, dumbass. Thought it'd keep him off me. Wrong. She didn't respond. Just gripped the wrench tighter. The car rolling to a stop, warehouse 17. Black van parked crooked. Lights off but engine warm. Ruiz signaled 2 more cars flanking. Cops slipping out. Guns low, and Ethan climbed out. Sling awkward, Jasmine beside him. Wrench up. Stay back, Ruiz hissed. But she ignored him. Eyes scanning dock, quiet. River lapping dark. A faint thud from inside. Ethan pointed their side door, and they moved, cops fanning out, him and Jasmine creeping close, gravel crunching soft underfoot. A shout sharp. Male hit from within. Where's Cole? And Ethan's gut clenched. Lucas. He pushed the door, rusted, creaking, and slipped in. Jasmine behind, the dark swallowing them. Inside stank oil, damp rot, Metal and crates loomed, shadows dancing under a flickering bulb. Lucas stood center, suit crisp, flanked by 3 guys, bat, brick, a new face, all armed, bats and pipes glinting. Well, shit, Lucas grinned. Spotting him, you look like hell, Cole. Where south my drive? Ethan stepped forward. Gone, trashed it yesterday. Bet us off, Lucas, let it go. Lucas laughed. Cold. Trashed? Bullshit, gimme the files or I finish what they started. Jasmine moved fast, silent wrench swinging at new face, cracking his knee, guy howling, dropping. Bat lunged, bat arcing, Ethan dodged, pain exploding, and tackled him, good fist smashing, nose blood sprayed. Guy crumpled. Brick charged Jasmine. Pipe high she ducked, wrench slamming ribs, a grunt as he fell. Lucas pulled a gun snub-nosed, glinting enough, and aimed, files, Cole or she is done. Ethan froze, Lucas, don't, but Jasmine surged. Wrench flying caught his wrist, gun clattering, and she tackled him, knees pinning, wrench at his throat. Cops! Ruiz yelled, bursting in, guns up, freeze! And Lucas cursed, pinned, you're screwed, Cole. Jasmine pressed harder. Shut it. Her voice a growl, eyes blazing. Cops swarmed, cuffs clicking. Guys groaning, and Ethan sank, shoulder bleeding fresh, breath ragged. Ruiz hauled Lucas up, Hayes, you're done, assault, kidnapping, we got you. Jasmine stood, wrench dropping, and grabbed Ethan, pulling him up. You good? He nodded, spitting blood. Yeah, you? She didn't answer, just stared. Lucas cuffed, cops dragging him, and softened. Just a crack. You fought, she said, low for us. He nodded, had to owed you. She didn't smile, but her grip lingered, steady. And they limped out, river dark, sirens loud. The fight over, but the war still simmering. The hospital discharged Ethan just as the sun cracked the horizon. A thin slash of gold bleeding into the Chicago sky on Wednesday, March 13th, 2025. He stepped out into the crisp dawn, the sling still pinning his arm, shoulder stitched and throbbing under a fresh layer of gauze. His jaw ached, lips scabbed over, and his leg dragged a little bruised deep from the warehouse brawl, but the painkillers dulled it to a low hum, enough to keep him moving. His hoodie hung off him, torn and crusted with blood and mud. The Blackhawks logo faded under the mess of the last 2 days. He spat into the gutter, copper lingering in his mouth, and squinted at the city waking up, Lakeshore Drive rumbling with early traffic, the lake glinting cold and restless under the first light. The air smelled sharp, wet pavement, exhaust, a hint of spring fighting through the urban grit. Jasmine stood by the curb, Mia and Zoe clinging to her sides, their little hands buried in her denim jacket, torn now, sleeve ragged from the ropes and the wrench swings. She refused to stay overnight, were fine. Just bruises, and the medics had let her go after patching her wrists and cheek. The bruise there darkening to a mottled purple. Mia's tiger shirt was wrinkled, Zoe's plushy dog tucked tight under her arm. Both girls quiet, eyes red but dry now, exhaustion pinning them silent. Jasmine's cap was back on, pulled low, shadowing her face, but her jaw was set, lips pressed thin, still fierce, still guarded, even after Calumet. She hadn't looked at him since they left the warehouse. Not really, just quick glances, sharp and unreadable, like she was weighing him in her head. Ruiz leaned on his squad car, radio crackling low, wrapping up with a nurse who brought out discharge papers. Hayes is locked up, assault, kidnapping, extortion, he said, nodding at Ethan. Got him on tape from the warehouse, dumbass didn't shut up. You're clear, Cole, civilian hero crap helped. Ethan shrugged, wincing as the sling pulled. Didn't feel heroic, felt like hell. Ruiz smirked, yeah, well, you're alive, call it a win. Carter? She didn't turn, just muttered, we're good, go. He tipped his hat, watch yourselves, Hayes' crew scattered. But they're pissed, and climbed in, the car peeling off into the morning hum. Ethan limped closer, stopping a few feet back, hands shoved in his pockets, awkward, unsure, the blanket still in the Rover haunting him. You guys okay? He said, voice rough, low, like he didn't trust it not to break. Jasmine shifted, cap tilting up, eyes locking on his hard, searching, a flicker of something softer buried deep. We're breathing, she said, flat, one arm tightening around Mia. You? He nodded, slow, been better, been worse. Look, Jasmine, she cut him, sharp, don't. Not now, girls need sleep, not talk. He didn't T-push, just nodded again. Fair. Where you headed? Motel S, trashed cop said. She sighed, rubbing her temple. Dunno, somewhere cheap. Safe. Auntie got much left. Mia tugged her sleeve. Mom, can we go back to Ethan S? Zoe nodded, plushy muffling her voice. Yeah, it's warm. Jasmine tensed, eyes flicking to him, then away. No, we're done there. Ethan stepped closer. Jasmine, listen, penthouse is yours if you want it. No strings, no bet, just a place. I'll crash somewhere else. She stared, cap shadowing her doubt. Why? After all this shit, why you still here? He swallowed, throat dry, 'cause I owe them. Fucked it up, yeah, but I'm not running. Take it, rest, figure it out. I'll stay out of your way. Mia perked up. Please, Mom? Zoe echoed. Please? Jasmine's jaw worked, chewing it over, and she sighed heavy. Fine, one night. But you're gone, Cole, mean it. He nodded, gone, swear. The Rover ride was quiet, girls dozing in back. Jasmine up front, arms crossed, staring out at the city sliding by. Ethan drove slow, shoulders screaming with every turn. The penthouse looming ahead, glass gleaming. A world he didn't fit in anymore. They piled out in the garage, elevator humming up, doors opening to that pristine sprawl, walnut floors. Leather. The view hitting hard in the morning light. Mia gasped, soft, still big. Zoe shuffled. Fishies, and they flopped on the couch. Blanket pulled tight, eyes drooping fast. Jasmine dropped their bags, cap off now, curls spilling wild, and sank beside them, exhaustion carving lines in her face. Ethan grabbed a beer from the fridge, first in hours, cold and sharp, and leaned on the counter, watching her tuck them in, her hands steady but slow. I'll head out, he said, popping the cap, the hiss loud in the quiet. Crash at a hotel, call if you need anything. She didn't look up, just nodded. Yego. He grabbed his keys, limping to the door, but paused. Jasmine, I'm sorry. For all of it. She glanced over, eyes tired. You said that, prove it. He nodded, I will, and slipped out, the door clicking shut, the penthouse hers. He checked into a Marriott downtown small room. Stiff bed, shoulder throbbing as he crashed. Sleep hitting hard and dreamless. Wednesday blurred, painkillers. Ice. Calls from his assistant panicking about the stock drop. You're tanking, Ethan, bored as pissed. He muted it, staring at the ceiling, Lucas's smug face flashing, cuffed now. But the damage stuck. Thursday dawned gray, and he rolled back to Southside Hope Haven. Marla's crew still cleaning glass. Kids kicking that deflated ball. Carter's gone, Marla said, arms crossed. Left this morning, said she. Decall. His gut sank. Where? She shrugged. Didn't he say? Looked beat, but steady. He drove aimless, slow till he hit Evanston. A quiet suburb north of the city. Trees budding green, houses small but solid. A for sale sign caught his eye, 2-story. Brick yard with a swing, and he stopped, staring. No penthouse gleam, just real, grounded, something they could breathe in. He called his realtor, buy it cash. Fast. Furnish it, kid stuff, simple. She balked. Ethan, your accounts, he cut her. Do it, sell the downtown loft if you need. Closed Friday, keys in hand. Deed done. A shot at something right. Saturday, he tracked her Hope Haven-S network. Marla's grumbling tip. A cheap rental off 63rd, South Side's edge. He rolled up, sagging duplex, paint peeling, but safe-ish and knocked, shoulder stiff, heart pounding. Jasmine opened. Cap low, eyes narrowing. What the hell? Cole? Mia peeked. Ethan. Zoe ran, plushy flapping. You're back. He knelt, wincing. Hey, champ's got something for you. Jasmine crossed her arms. Thought you were gone. He stood, keys dangling. Was if you want. Bought a place, Evanston, house, yard, yours. No bet, no bullshit, just yours. She stared, cap tilting. Why? He swallowed. 'Cause you deserve it, girls deserve it. I'm out, Jasmine, really out. Take it, stay here, whatever, just know it's there. Mia tugged her. A house, Mom? Zoe clapped, with a swing. Jasmine's jaw worked, doubt warring with something softer. And she took the keys. Slow, this don't fix it, Cole. I know, he said, stepping back, but it's a start, up to you. She didn't answer, just watched. keys in hand, and he turned, limping to the Rover, leaving it hers to decide. Sunday, they moved Jasmine, Mia, Zoe, the house filling with their noise swings creaking, giggles echoing, a real bed each. Ethan stayed away hotel, quiet, shoulder healing slow, but Monday, his phone buzzed, Jasmine's number. We're in girls like it. Don't push. He grinned, faint, 1T glad you're there. Tuesday, he rolled by dropped groceries, diapers for a neighbor kid. Didn't T knock and saw them. Mia drawing on the porch, Zoe swinging, Jasmine watching, cap off, a rare half smile. He drove off, hotel bound, but Wednesday hit a text, unknown number, old as hell. You'll crawl back, Cole L. Lucas, pre-jail, dug up by some flunky still loyal. He froze, showing Jasmine later she called him over. Coffee on the porch, girls inside. He locked up, she said, eyes hard, but he ain't done. Ethan nodded, yeah keeps comin'. She sipped, slow, you stayin' out? Tryin', he said, shoulder stiff, but got reach, might need to fight again. She stared, cap shadowing her doubt, you bring more shit, we're gone, girls can't take it. He nodded, I know 1T let it touch you. She didn't smile, just watched, coffee cooling, and he left, the text a ghost in his pocket, trust fragile as hell. The Evanston house glowed soft under the late Wednesday afternoon. Sunday, March 19, 2025. Its brick walls catching the light in warm streaks of red and gold. Ethan pulled the Rover up across the street, engine idling low. His shoulder still stiff in the sling, but healing stitches itching under the gauze, bruises fading to a dull yellow. He swapped the torn hoodie for a clean flannel, jeans less shredded, but the weight of the last week clung to him. Mud, blood. Lucas's taunting text still buzzing in his pocket like a live wire. The porch swing creaked. Mia pushing Zoe, their giggles spilling out, tiger shirt and plushy dog bright against the graying day. Jasmine sat on the steps, cap off, curls loose, nursing a coffee, her denim jacket patched with duct tape where the sleeve had ripped. She looked steady, tired, sure, but grounded. The house a small fortress, she claimed. He didn't get out, not yet, just watched. The quiet settling in his chest, a rare break from the chaos. The girls hadn't seen him since Sunday, when he dropped groceries, cereal, milk, a pack of crayons for Mia's drawings, and bolted before Jasmine could say much. Her text don't push kept him at arm's length, and he respected it, crashing at the Marriott downtown, letting the penthouse sit empty, a ghost of his old life. Lucas was locked up, Ruiz had confirmed it, Cook County. No bail, but that old message, you'll crawl back, gnawed at him, a loose thread he couldn't cut. He shown it to her yesterday, over coffee on that porch, her eyes narrowing but calm. He done, and he wanted to believe it, but the city had a way of spitting up trouble when you least expected. A shadow moved, a figure, tall, lanky, stepping out of a beat-up sedan 2 houses down, hood up, hands shoved deep in a puffy coat. Ethan's gut tightened, instincts flaring, South Side vibe, too casual for Evanston's tidy streets, and he killed the engine, sliding low in the seat, watching. The guy didn't move fast, just leaned on the car, lighting a cigarette, the flare catching a face Ethan didn't know. Sharp jaw, stubble, eyes scanning the house. Not Lucas's crew, too sloppy, too lone, but trouble, no doubt. He grabbed his phone, thumbing Ruiz's number, but held off, needed more. Couldn't spook Jasmine till he was sure. The front door creaked, Mia bolting out. Mom, look, waving a drawing, Zoe trailing with her plushie. Mine's better. Jasmine stood, slow, coffee set aside. Let me see, babies, her voice carrying soft across the yard. The guy flicked his cigarette, ember sparking, and stepped closer, too close, crossing the street now, hood low, pace deliberate. Ethan's pulse kicked up, hand on the door handle, ready, and then he froze. The guy pulled the hood back, face clear. Derek, Jasmine's ex, the deadbeat who bailed years ago, left her with nothing but debt and 2 kids. Ethan knew him from her story's slick talkin' bastard. Took every dime and photos she tossed in a shelter trash can once, crumpled and torn. Derek, Jasmine said, voice flat but sharp, spotting him mid-step, her body stiffening like steel. The girls froze, Mia dropping her drawing, Zoe clutching the plushie tight. Daddy? Their voices small, confused, a crack Ethan felt in his chest. Derek grinned, crooked, hands out. Hey, Jazz looking good, girl. My baby's too damn, why all grew. Jasmine stepped forward, blocking them. What the hell you doing here? Ain't seen you in 5 years, get lost. Her tone was ice, but her hands shook, just a flicker. And Ethan gripped the wheel, watching, waiting. Derek didn't flinch, just smirked. Missed my girls, heard you're shacked up with some rich boy now. Fancy house. Huh? Figured I'd check in. Jasmine's eyes narrowed. Check in? You don't check shit, you ran. Get out of my yard for I make you. He laughed, low, still feisty good. But I ain't leavin'. They're mine too, got rights. Mia whimpered. Mom and Zoe hid behind her, plushie muffling her face. Jasmine's fists clenched, rights? You lost those when you bailed, don't test me, Derek. Ethan slid out, quiet, door soft. Staying low, Derek hadn't clocked him. Too focused on her. He edged closer, gravel crunching faint under his boots. Phone out. Recording now, needed proof if this went south. Derek stepped up. Heard about your little adventure billionaire boyfriend. Huh? News says he a fraud used you. I'm talking my girl's back, better off with me. Jasmine laughed. Bitter. You? Broke ass. Lying there better here than anywhere you drag him. He smirked wider. Court LLC different, got papers. Jazz. Custody filing served tomorrow. Her face went slack, then hard. Court? You got nothing, no job, no home, judge LL laugh you out. Derek pulled a folded stack from his coat, legal docs. Stamped, real, and waved em. Got help, friend hooked me up. You're unfit, runnin' with a thug, kids in danger. Photos, too messy, stuff from the news. Ethan's gut twisted, Lucas had to be, even from jail, pulling strings with some flunky. Jasmine lunged. Gimme that. But he yanked it back, laughing. Nah, see you in court, girl. Ethan stepped out. Back off. Derek, voice low, firm. Sling awkward but stance steady. Derek turned, smirk fading. Well, shit, Prince Charming himself. Heard you're bleedin' money now, still playin' hero? Ethan didn't blink. Leave now or I call cops. Recorded every word. Derek's eyes flicked to the phone, narrowing. Tape don't mean shit, I'm legal. Kids are mine. Jasmine shoved forward. They're mine, you don't get to waltz back. Mia cried, Mommy. And Zoe wailed. No. Derek stepped closer. Cry all you want, Judge LLC, you're a mess. See ya, Jazz, and turned, sauntering back to his car. Engine coughing alive as he peeled off. Jasmine stood, shaking, fists balled, then dropped to the girls, pulling them close. Shoo. Babies, I got you. Ethan pocketed the phone, limping over. He's bluffing, can't win. She glared up, tears brimming but not falling. Bluffing? He's got papers, Ethan. Lucas, right? Your mess again. He nodded, slow. Yeah, probably. I'll fix it, lawyers, whatever it takes. She stood, girls clinging. Fix it? You keep saying that, look at us. Court, he'll drag us through hell. Her voice broke, raw, and she turned, storming inside, door slamming. Ethan stood there, dusk settling cold, the swing creaking empty, and punched the Rover's hood, pain flaring. But he didn't care. Derek, Lucas ghosts teaming up, and he handed them the ammo. Thursday hit, court summons served. Cook County Juvenile, hearing set for Monday. Ethan called his lawyer top tier, expensive, get me everything on Derek records, debts, ties to Hayes, and dug into Lucas's jail logs. A call last week to a burner traced to a Southside dive. Proof shaky, but there. Jasmine didn't talk, texts ignored. Door unanswered, but he dropped supplies Friday. Food. A note, I'm on it, trust me, and left. Her silence loud as hell. Monday loomed, courtroom packed, wood benches creaking, air thick with tension. Ethan sat behind Jasmine, suit stiff, sling off but shoulder aching. The girls beside her, quiet, scared. Derek strutted in new jacket, smug his lawyer, a greasy guy with a cheap tie waving photos. Shelter brawl, Jasmine swinging the plank, headlines screaming chaos mom. Unfit, Derek's guy said, voice oily, living with a fraud, coalesce a danger, kids at risk. Jasmine gripped the table, knuckles white. He abandoned them 5 years. Not a dime. Her lawyer Ethan S. Hire, sharp fired back. Derek S. broke. Criminal ties Lucas Hayes funded this. Judge squinted, old, stern. Evidence? Derek S. side dropped a bomb photos. Fake. Jasmine stumbling drunk outside the motel. Kids crying. Recent, the lawyer lied. She S. unstable. Ethan S. gut sank forged. Had to be, but Jasmine snapped. That S. bullshit, I don't drink. The judge banged. Order. And Ethan stood. It's fake, Lucas rigged it, I've got logs. His lawyer slid them over call records. Burner trace, but the judge frowned. Circumstantial, need more. Derek grinned. She S. done, give me my girls. Mia whimpered, no, mommy. Zoe hid, plushie up, and Jasmine turned. Eyes blazing at Ethan. You said you'd fix it. He nodded, I will, trust me. The judge banged again, recess 2 hours. Bring proof or I rule. Jasmine slumped, girls sobbing, and Ethan bolted phone out, lawyer tailing, dig deeper now. They hit Southside Ruiz, pulled in fast, raided the dive. Burner found, text linking Lucas to Derek, fake the pics, get the kids solid, timestamped. Back in court, Ethan slid it to the judge, here conspiracy, fraud. Derek S. lawyer flailed. Objection unverified. But Ruiz testified, seized this morning, checks out. The judge read, slow, glasses low, then glared at Derek. You're done, custody denied. Investigation opened. Derek cursed, this is bullshit, and stormed out, lawyer scrambling. Jasmine exhaled, hugging the girls, tears spilling, relief, rage, all of it. Ethan sat, drained, shoulder throbbing, watching her steady them. We're okay. Babies. She didn't look at him, not yet, but the air shifted. Lighter. A crack in the wall. The courtroom air hung heavy with the echo of the judge's gavel. A sharp crack that sealed Derek's exit and left Cook County Juvenile buzzing on Monday afternoon. March 24, 2025. Ethan slumped in the wooden pew behind Jasmine. His shoulder aching under the flannel, no sling now. Just stitches pulling tight and his jaw still tender from the warehouse brawl. Sweat beaded his neck. The suit jacket he ditched crumpled beside him. Tie loosened like a noose he escaped. The room thinned out, Derek's greasy lawyer bolting after his client. Ruiz lingering by the door with a nod. Spectators shuffling out with whispers of Cole pulled it off, but Ethan stayed put. Eyes locked on Jasmine, Mia, and Zoe. A knot of relief and exhaustion anchoring him. Jasmine sat at the defense table, shoulders squared but trembling. Her denim jacket creased from gripping the girls so tight. Mia nestled under her left arm, tiger shirt wrinkled, crayons clutched like a lifeline. While Zoe pressed into her right, plushy dog squished against her chest. Eyes red but dry now. The judge's ruling custody denied. Investigation opened still rang. Derek's curse fading down the hall, and Jasmine exhaled, slow, ragged, like she'd been holding her breath since the summons hit. She turned, stroking Mia's hair. We're good, baby, voice low, steady, then kissed Zoe's forehead. You two no more runnin'. They nodded, small, clinging, and she stood, pulling them up, her cap left on the table, curls spilling free, a rare vulnerability Ethan caught and held. He stood, slow, wincing as his leg twinged, still bruised from Calumet, and stepped closer. Hands shoved in his pockets, unsure if she'd let him near. You okay? He said, voice rough, quiet, like he was afraid it'd break the moment. She glanced over, eyes meeting his heart at first, then softening. A crack in the wall she built. Yeah, she said. Flat but real, we're okay thanks to you. Mia peeked up. You beat the bad guy, Ethan. Zoe nodded, plushy muffling her. Yeah, like a superhero. He grinned. Faint. Kneeling despite the ache. Not me. Champs, your mama's the hero. I just helped. Jasmine snorted. Faint. Helped? You damn near died twice. Her tone was dry, but her lips twitched, almost a smile, and she shifted, jacket rustling, letting the girls lean on her. Ruiz said Lucas is cooked, those texts tied him to Derek. You pulled that? Ethan nodded, standing. You had to. Couldn't let him take M. She stared, searching, then nodded back. Slow. Guess you meant it fixin' it. He swallowed, throat tight, told you I would. The courtroom empty, janitor sweeping, clerk stacking files, and Ruiz waved. Why all good? Hayes is buried, Derek too. Call if you need. Jasmine muttered, thanks, and Ethan nodded, appreciate it. They stepped out, the hall cold, fluorescent lights buzzing, and hit the street, Evanston air crisp, spring teasing through the March chill. The Rover waited, parked crooked, and Ethan opened the back. Hop in, champ's home time. Mia climbed, can we draw? Zoe followed, and swing? He grinned, all day if you want. Jasmine slid into the front, Cap left behind, her silence heavy but not hostile. The drive was quiet, girls chattering soft and back. City fading to suburb, trees budding green along the streets. The house loomed brick warm in the dusk, swing creaking empty, and Ethan pulled up, killing the engine. Here, he said, keys dangling, yours still is. She took him, slow, fingers brushing his. You ain't stayin'? He shook his head, hotel giving you space. Meant that too. She didn't answer, just climbed out, herding the girls, Mia bolting for the swing, Zoe trailing with her plushie. Ethan stayed put, watching the weight of the week lifting, slow like fog burning off. Jasmine paused, glancing back, you fought hard. Didn't he think you had it in you? He smirked, faint, surprised myself had something worth fighting for. She didn't smile, just nodded, and turned, following the girls, her steps steady, home. Tuesday blurred, Ethan at the Marriott, shoulder healing, calls dodged from his assistant. Stock us up, board us calm. He didn't care, sold the penthouse, cash funneled to Carter House, a South Side center he defunded from the loft S sale. Beds, books, a real start for kids like Mia and Zoe. Wednesday hit, grand opening set, Jasmine texting, girls wanna see it come, and he rolled up, flannel swapped for a clean jacket, legs still stiff but moving. Carter House glowed, South Side lot cleaned, brick painted fresh, balloons bobbing in the breeze, jazz spilling from a speaker. Kids ran shelter faces, new one swings creaking, crayons scattered, a banner flapping. Carter House hope starts here. Jasmine stood by the door, cap off, curls loose, Mia drawing tigers on the steps, Zoe swinging with her plushie. She clocked him, nodding, nice, didn't he think you'd pull it? He grinned, told you proven it. She smirked, faint, yeah, keep going. The crowd grew, Marla, Ruiz, locals, music swelling, kids laughing, the sun dipping gold. Ethan stepped up, mic in hand, voice rough but clear. This ain't mine, it's theirs. Carter House for kids, families, a shot at something real. I fucked up big, but he nodded at Jasmine, the girls showed me what matters. No bets, no games, just this. Cheers hit, soft but real, and he stepped down. Mia running over, you're cool. Ethan. Zoe hugged his leg. Thanks. Jasmine watched, coffee in hand, and he walked over, slow, stopping short. Good? He said, quiet. She nodded, good, girls love it. You? He shrugged, better get in there. She sipped, eyes on him, you're different, still a fool, but different. He laughed, faint, fair fool, less my baseline. She didn't laugh, just watched, the jazz curling around them, kids' noise, a warm hum. Dusk settled, lights strung up, glowing soft, the crowd thinning, and Ethan grabbed a beer from a cooler, leaning on the porch rail. Jasmine stepped up, girls inside drawing, her shadow falling long. You ain't gotta keep provin', she said low, coffee swapped for a soda now. He turned, yeah, I do owe you that much. She stared, cap less, vulnerable, OS done, you paid up. What now? He swallowed, beer cold in his hand. Now? Whatever you want, staying out, stepping in, your call. She didn't answer, just leaned beside him, soda fizzing, the night creeping in stars faint, city humming low. Then, slow, she shifted closer, shoulder brushing his, a crack in the wall wide enough to see through. You're a damn mess, she said, voice soft, but you fought for us. He nodded, always will, meant that too. She didn't pull back, just stayed, the jazz fading, kids' laughter drifting, a quiet he didn't break. Friday hit, Ethan back at the hotel, shoulder easing, life steadying, and Jasmine called. Carter House party, girls want you. Come. He rolled up, dusk again, Lights twinkling, kids running wild. Mia tackled him, swing with us. Zoe tugged, now. He laughed, all right, champs, and pushed them, swing creaking, their giggles lighting the dark. Jasmine watched, soda in hand, stepping over, you're stuck with M, good luck. He grinned, best kinda stuck. The crowd thinned, music low, stars sharp, and he stopped. Mia and Zoe bolting for crayons. Jasmine stayed, close now, you're still here, why? He turned, beer down, voice low, 'cause I wanna be not for Lucas, not for pride for you, them. No lies, Jasmine, just us, if you'll have it. She stared, soda forgotten, then stepped closer, real close, eyes locked. You're a fool, Cole, but you're mine. She kissed him quick, fierce, real, and pulled back, half smiling. Don't screw it up. He grinned, one T swear it, and she nodded. Good. The girls ran back. Mom kissed Ethan. Mia squealed, Zoe clapping. Gross. Jasmine laughed full, bright, and pulled them close. Ethan beside her. The night warm, the house theirs. Under the moon, Chicago glowed messy, wild, home, and they stood. A family forged in fire, ready for whatever came. From storms to triumph, what a ride. Folks, Ethan and Jasmine made it. What hit you deepest? Tell us below. Share this epic tale and subscribe for more.